Carlos de Luna, Ruben Cantu, Larry Griffin, and Joseph Odell. Those were people who were wrongfully executed on death row, and those were lives that could have been saved. Capital punishment has been one of the most debated topics in our society for a very long time. Capital punishment, otherwise known as the death penalty, has affected many lives in our country and around the globe. Capital punishment is wrong and should be abolished. The ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, in their article Case Against the Death Penalty, the death penalty violates the constitutional ban against cruel and unusual punishment and the guarantees of due process and uh, the equal protection under the law. Furthermore, the ACLU believes that the state should not give itself the right to kill human beings, especially when it kills with premeditation and ceremony in the name of the law or in the name of its people, and when it does so in an arbitrary and discriminatory fashion. Capital punishment is an intolerable denial of civil liberties and is inconsistent with the fundamental values of our democratic system. It's uncivilized in theory and unfair and inequitable in practice. And the ACLU says it's unfair and unjust because it's dependent on how much money a defendant has, the skill of the lawyer, the race of the victim, where the crime took place, and deathpenaltyinfo.com article states that a report by the National Research Council stated that studies claiming that the death penalty as a deterrent effect on murder rates is fundamentally flawed and should not be used when making policy decisions. The Oregonians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty also support the defenses made by the ACLU and the DPIC. Furthermore, the death penalty is a waste of taxpayers' money. It costs $1.26 million for every death penalty case versus $740,000 for non-death penalty cases. And this really can affect us because who pays taxes? We do. So, our money going towards killing people, that's not right. That should not be a thing. The Journalist Resource article says that studies were inconclusive whenever they were researching whether or not that the death penalty was a deterrent for murder crimes. Lots of studies back it up that it has no effect, or even the opposite effect, that it doesn't really stop anything because it's just useless. And the ACLU says that it's not a viable form of crime control, and it is noted by law enforcement as the least effective. Not only does it waste taxpayers' money, and not only is it unfair and unjust, it also has many innocent people who are sentenced to death row. From 1973, over 160 people have been released from death row, and there have been 3 exonerations in Tennessee, according to the Tennessee Department of Corrections. And the ACLU and the DPIC and the Washington Post, they all back this up. And, today I just talked about what the death penalty is and why it's wrong. And, I hope that this different outlook on it, can convince you to think a different way maybe, and just give you some new information for your brain. And I feel that the death penalty should be abolished because it's cruel and unusual punishment. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. It's unfair and unjust. And frankly, it just does nothing for society. It's literally killing people. And that's just wrong. You know, like, killing people should never be the answer.